Yeah, so welcome to the today's edition of the Community Dev Call. I'll spin up a quick screen share as always and walk everybody through a presentation. I'm going to pretty quickly hand over the mic to Mircea at Informal Systems, who's one of our lead validator community, and they're very deeply involved with the inter-blockchain communication protocol and relayer development. So I just wanted to give him an opportunity to just share sort of the state of play with what's going on in the broader ecosystem so that people can understand where our testnet fits in and, you know, just expectations around documentation, etc. So hopefully everybody can see the presentation. I'll kick it into present mode here in just a moment. So again, welcome everybody to February 24th Regen Network Community Dev Update. And I'm going to pass it on to Mircea to give us a quick sort of overview of what's happening in the larger Cosmos world with IBC and relayer tech. So Mircea, take it from here.
Hi, thanks, Gregory. So just gonna take a minute or less, and then some questions if you guys have them. So as you all know, IBC has.
If you're not Mircea, please mute.
Right. So as you all know, IBC has been enabled on the Cosmos Hub last week. Well, sort of through the big Stargate upgrade. What that means is that the relayer itself and efforts around IBC itself have been spotty for the last, say, month or so, which leads to not quite a lot of documentation on how it works, what it does, how to operate the relayer, who's operating a relayer. There weren't many testnets that had IBC enabled. I think this testnet is one of the first. There's MuscleNet, I believe, from Confio, Nakash, and maybe I am missing, and obviously the Stargate testnet, the Cosmos Hub testnet. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I've seen already some questions pop up in the validator channel, Althea too, yes, in the validator channel regarding relayer operations. And this is a sort of a plea to bear with us, with all of us, since this is such new tech. Documentation, like I mentioned, is pretty sparse. We're working as hard as we can to get more out there. Currently, the instructions that Anil posted for Regen Testnet Phase 2 are actually some of the more complete instructions on how this works. So yeah, all of that, I guess a roundabout way to say that there's a dearth of information. We're working hard to bring it out. And if we're slow, some of us, maybe some of us are better at it, but if we're slow to answer questions, it's mostly because we're working through this ourselves too. I know us at Informal, we're working as hard as we can to get the Go relayer started between networks. And also we have a Rust relayer that we're going to push out soon that we're testing and trying to make it feature par with the Go one. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the state of IBC and the relayers today. Hopefully this changes really, really fast, and I have no doubts that it shall. All right, Greg, it's back to you. I don't think I have much more than that right now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Sorry, I was on mute. Mircea, thank you for sharing the sort of state of play with IBC. I know you have to hop over and get on another call. Do you have time for just if anybody has a question or two? Do you have time, or do you need to hop right away?
No, that's fine. I'm waiting. If anybody has any questions, I'll try my best.
Yeah. So if folks specifically have questions about, you know, IBC and relayer stuff that come up after hearing sort of the state of the ecosystem, please share. And obviously, you know, a lot of this will take place in the validator channel there. So
Right. So I'll also I'm available pretty much today, tomorrow, in morning to afternoon Eastern time. I'll answer any there. I'm sure Joe and the other validators too, they probably also will know as much, if not more than me.
And I know, Mircea, you and Greg were talking about just putting together sort of an FAQ sometime, today or tomorrow to share back with the community. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll let you jump off into the rest of your day. And thanks for taking a moment to just share what's sort of happening in the broader ecosystem. So with that, we'll shift gears back into sort of the standard way that these community dev updates go, which, just for those of you who are new, we try to spend about 15 minutes giving a quick overview of what's shaken here in Regen Network as we run through the final sprints towards mainnet launch, which is slated for the end of March. So a lot of this call is going to be focused on the Testnet that's underway, the incentivized Testnet. Many of you on the call are participants in that. Some of you may be hopping in new to the community, so welcome. And I see some folks from the Open Team community, so also always welcome. So I'm going to just shift gears into sharing this presentation, and yeah, try to keep it really brief and open it up for questions and comments. All right. Again, welcome to the call. We are in the midst of the phase 2 of the Regen Ledger Testnet, which is very exciting. This phase is going to be focused on IBC testing, which is why we started the community call with a brief note from Mircea about just like the general state of testing and documentation of this extraordinarily new and transformative inter-blockchain communication protocol that we're actively testing right now. Just a quick overview for those of you who might be wondering, why is it important for Regen Ledger to take leadership in testing and deploying IBC? Inter-ledger communication for carbon markets is one of the biggest unsolved problems, so that there isn't double counting, so that we can have complementary and stacked claims. And at the core of achieving and solving that problem is an interoperable but sort of sovereign registry or blockchain approach to this whole problem set. So IBC is kind of core to that. So for those of you, this is just sort of the quick overview of docs and places to go find out what's going on. The Block Explorer is up here. Obviously the Testnet repo. This is all sort of old news probably for many of you, as well as the Kepler wallet. If you guys haven't checked it out, you can go to Kepler wallet, and if you're on the browser extension, you can enable the experimental feature, or if you're in the on the actual sort of browser version of Kepler, because you're managing delegation or staking, you can see Regen Testnet there. So we can interact with our testnet through Kepler. They're going to be supporting us through mainnet and beyond, which is really exciting. And here's just the instructions that Anil provided for phase 2 testing of IBC, and Mircea shared this list of all the relayer commands that people who are participating in the testnet can review. And again, he'll be working on a sort of FAQ and just sort of collating the state of the docs and hoping to share that back with the community, hopefully by the end of the day, or maybe if not tomorrow. So. Just shifting here. As always, testnets are all about breaking things and then fixing them. So just a couple updates. There's some work underway. There's an active PR for the Cosmos SDK around the size of logs, which has gotten quite large. We're not sure when that problem is really going to be solved. So in the meantime, as validators out there, you should definitely be thinking about just making sure you have enough storage to deal with the large log size that's building up with this version of the SDK. We started out with Mircea's state of IBC and the ecosystem, and so that agenda item's already sort of been covered. I wanted to give Anil just a quick opportunity to speak to the block error, just like some known issues with relayer tech that are sort of like larger ecosystem errors. So Anil, would you mind just speaking to that really briefly, this agenda item?
Yep, thanks, Gregory. So yeah, so with the current relayer, we might face some block header issues. So we will have header mismatch while relaying the packets. So there is no standard solution for this. So if you are just encountering such issue, maybe you can just retry the transaction.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's
So
just keep trying, and then it'll work.
yeah.
It'll work eventually. Thanks, Anil. And you know, I wanted to put it in. This is sort of some conversation that happened in the interim between last community call and this community call. Just a reminder to people that there is a sort of a movement in the larger Cosmos ecosystem to try to engage over at Stack Overflow. And so if you want to search for the tags Tendermint or Cosmos SDK or IBC, for instance, where there's going to be generic ecosystem-wide questions, head over there and see what's already underway. If you dig up documentation, share it there. It really starts to build. One of the strengths that you know, Regen Network has is building with larger free and open source software communities like Cosmos, like OpenTeam. So this larger forum for answering questions and engaging is very useful, because there are many other blockchains bootstrapping networks in a similar way as we are, so we can all help each other. So that's a good place to engage if you can't quickly get your questions answered in Discord or with the existing docs. So yeah, that's that. Just a reminder to everybody, you know, private token sale is going to be over on Friday. So if you were considering doing that or know somebody who is, you know, just give a nudge. It's quickly coming to a close. We also have gone past the KYC deadline I didn't specify for testnet participants. So if you haven't gotten your stuff in by now, or you're not already in tight communication with Dan and he knows exactly who you are, it is now too late. So you know, we tried to communicate that. That means that I think there's something like 10 mystery validators that we have not been able to identify. So that's you. Sorry about that if that's you. All right. So as always, you can head over to the Public Notion roadmap for up-to-date information about progress and things that are happening. And you can use this link. We'll publish this as well as the video recording. So we'll publish both the link to the slideshow as well as the video recording. And you can get this link to the Google Calendar into your calendar system, just to keep track. And we try to keep that up to date. So with that, I will get out of presentation mode here and stop sharing my screen and just open up the floor for any questions or comments.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to our Regen validator community. I am absolutely impressed by the amount of just help that you guys have been giving each other. And I'm thoroughly impressed by the cohesiveness that's happening on Discord and just really seeing a lot of you guys, especially some of the people that are on this call right now, lending a helping hand. It really helps a lot. So thank you very much for that. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I'll echo that. It's been really exciting to see. Cool. Well, feel free, if you're sort of camera shy, feel free to just type in questions if you've got them, concerns, questions, or you know, places where you'd like clarification for phase 2 or beyond in the testnet, or maybe you're just wondering what the heck is going on in a more general way. Those questions are also welcome on these calls. So no question is a bad one.
I got a question about IBC. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Would it be possible to do IBC with the Terra chain? Do you know yet?
Yes, Terra chain. I don't think that they've upgraded to Stargate yet, but my understanding is they will. They will be, and so yes, we will be able to do IBC connections with Terra.
And it would be a setup via relayer very similar to the one that we have in the instructions?
It would be exactly the same. Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Yep. As well as the Cosmos Hub. I do know that Iris Hub has a testnet, the Bifrost testnet up and running. And so, if people want to go do some treasure hunting and see other testnets that are going on and play around with relayers and sending and receiving tokens and whatnot, please do and document that. Happy to do some, bonus stuff, and just, it's really kind of fun to go out and engage with the bigger ecosystem. I know Althea has a testnet running right now that's IBC compatible. Confio is running MuscleNet, and the Big Bang testnet, I think Anil provided, in the docs. So, yeah. I'm just reading. I'm just taking a moment to read what questions are here.
Can you, Gregory, do you mind speaking to the question by Raul about the private sale, how that's going?
Yeah, private sale is going great. We've had really strong participation from both from the validator community as well as small investors. So I'd say we're something like 70% enrolled here as we come up to the end of the time. And there's a lot of people, because we have to do it the old fashioned way, and we have sort of SAFT agreements and KYC and one by one. So there's only so much velocity we can keep up with. So there's sort of a line that we're processing through, and there's people sort of coming in line. There's also some institutional investors that we're still sort of waiting to hear how big of a ticket they're going to come in on, or if they're going to come in. So yeah, but we're all feeling really great about how it's gone, and pretty excited and grateful for all of the support from the community. And again, really fantastic distribution. Lots of small investments, which we're really excited about, because it just means more people participating in this decentralized network. So it's really, really been great. Yeah, so question about Kepler Wallet on mainnet. Yeah, Nano Ledger will be supported at Genesis and mainnet through Kepler. So you'll be able to use the Cosmos app to do signing. So it'll all be quite clean and easy to engage with if you already are familiar with staking and the sort of Cosmos wallet ecosystem.
Yeah, and I'm currently working on documentation for our community on how that's going to work as far as Regen and Kepler, including Ledger. So by the time we launch, that'll be, and even beforehand, that'll be out, and people can review that. And if, of course, if there's any issues with my docs, please let me know ahead of time. But we've double checked them as of this point right now. So yeah, there'll be some documentation for you guys as far as Kepler and Ledger and all that's concerned too.
Yeah, and that's especially pertinent because, our project is sort of unique in that we have so many participants who aren't sort of native crypto folks. So we're trying to do our best to really make it simple to participate in staking and governance. So Dan's really taking the lead to make sure that the community knows best practices for key management, which some of us might take for granted, and other people that might actually be a really, big, a big deal. So
yeah, some of the information in the documentation might be redundant for some of the folks on this call at the moment. being that they're validators and should be used to what's happening as far as wallets are concerned. But my aim was really to break it down so anybody, who comes across Regen or even the cryptocurrency world in general can read it and understand, what wallets are, the different kinds of wallets, what kind of backups exist, hardware versus, paper wallets and paper backups, the whole gamut. And then also, so it's kind of the forward. And then at the end, a breakdown how we tie that information in with how, Kepler works with Regen and Ledger works with Regen, and just kind of, solidify it for our community, but also a general document that you can share with anybody who's new to cryptocurrency.
All right. Yeah. Pete asks, do we know likely number of coins required to participate as a validator mainnet? It's completely dependent on the, so we'll be launching with 50 validators. We're open to potentially, quickly upgrading to have a larger validator set. Obviously, we would like that. We also want the validator economics. We want the security of the network and the validator economics to be sized to our market cap and our adoption. And, so anyway, we're thinking 50 is a good place to start. We'll be, so it just means you need to be in the top 50 in terms of how much stake you have on your blockchain. So good participation in the incentivized testnet, receiving the initial incentive rewards is a good place to start. Some people are making investments to ensure that they have enough stake, and then obviously people who have made investments or an R&D Inc. And the Regen Foundation, who are token holders in the network, will be making delegation decisions. And we're intending to publish our sort of delegation criteria, but in general, it's going to be, do we know that you have a secure setup because you've rocked the test nets, for instance? Are you an active community participant who's planning on adding value or has demonstrated value? Those will be the criteria the main criteria for delegations out to validators in the ecosystem. So just, and we'll sort of have a transparent guide to how we're going to be thinking about that available for everybody. So Douglas is asking about running a second validator to be able to test double sign. Let me think about that. So I'm not quite sure I completely understand. So you'd be wanting to do an active passive or active sort of system where you actually have two, you're signing once but have two validators running.
Basically,
you want to test that setup?
Yeah, the way I understand this. So the way this works, basically, if he's using the same key on two validators, and there's going to be, a slashing event will be triggered. So
but there is software for active or active passive to have two different, to have the same key on two machines, and
active is what he's.
Yeah, and only one of them is signing. Yeah, of course, if you want to test that, you should test that. You might get slashed, but this is a good time to test it because you're getting slashed in testnet tokens. So I would definitely encourage you. We don't want people to be running two validators with two distinct key pairs, right? I mean, obviously people could do that, but we're only going to give incentives to one. But if you want to be playing around with active or active passive, sort of multi-node validator setups, that's highly encouraged. And I'm sure the community would love if you share how it goes. And I know some of the, longer time validators have setups like that. I mean, you're welcome. You can definitely, you can definitely run a second key. We just won't count incentives towards it, right? That's the key point there. Yeah, cool. Staking APY, same as a Kosh, start high to secure the network. Right now I'm not actually familiar with Akash's inflation logic, but my guess is it's pretty similar. We're the same basic parameters as the Cosmos hub, which I think the upper end of inflation is 22%, and then it comes down to 7%. And we have it, we're launching with a quarterly, so depending on, so yeah, definitely for the whole first quarter, it'll be a 22% inflation rate. And then if it's above the 66+1 staked ratio, that goes down to 7%. Sort of slides down. So hopefully that answers your question. Yes, other Cosmos chain explorers we should be compatible with. Obviously, Anil and the Vitwit team have done an awesome job with the Anika Explorer. Really excited. I know Forble and with their Big Dipper, they're a validator on the network, so I would certainly expect them to also spin up. And obviously, we're sort of running with the same Cosmos SDK as the hub now, so it's quite easy for block explorers to feature Regen Network. So yeah, I think we're excited to have many block explorer options for folks, and several of them are open source, so if we wanted to fork them and use them, we could. But I expect people to just sort of bring us into the existing block explorer ecosystem. Great questions, everybody. All right. Well, as we come up to Anil, please hop in.
So when mainnet?
When mainnet? Mainnet is scheduled for the end of March, right? So we're on track for that. We'll be baking our final Genesis file in early March. I think our goal is to have that Genesis file baked and ready to, run in testnet March 8th, about the same time that we end the incentivized testnet, somewhere 8th, 10th, or 12th. We'll end the incentivized testnet. Then a smaller group of validators will just run a smaller non-incentivized testnet with the Genesis file. We'll keep that running for a couple of weeks just to make sure that it's all good and we feel confident about things. And then we'll run into our mainnet launch cycle at the end of March. We will launch without some of the feature set enabled, and then we'll go through governance in short succession to enable things like transfers, to enable the data module, to enable IBC if we want to, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go through community governance to enable everything. Josh was asking about private sale. Yeah, you make contact. You can go to region.network/invest. And as soon as you sign up there, you get an email from our team. There's KYC process. If you've already done KYC because you're a validator, we can use that KYC information to make it easier. You decide on your terms. There's 1 year and 3 year lockup terms with different prices. You choose the amount and the terms, and then there's a simple agreement for future tokens contracts that you sign via DocuSign, and then you choose your payment. We have an institutional account with Kraken, so we can take any of the, any cryptocurrency, or we can take direct bank transfers. So I think a lot of people are using USDC or USDT for their transfer over, and but we could take anything that's listed on you know, we could take more volatile assets. It's just a little more challenging to get the price fixed. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question, Joshua.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Well, we're up at the top of the hour. Thank you all for your attention and your good questions and being part of the community. We'll see you all over in Discord if you've got questions, or Telegram. If you're on Telegram, come over to Discord. And yeah, be well, everybody. And we'll see you this time next week.